Yo, it's me, Fernza, and welcome to I Made a Mini BR Part 6. In this part of the series we'll be going over the two most recent seasons of Paradox, Anarchy and Frostbite. But before we get into all that, for those of you who may be new or would like a quick summary, Paradox is a 24-player mini battle royale made inside Fortnite Creative 1.0. It's unique for the way classes work in this map, with them making each player play differently. The map is a lot like Reload 2, with it granting players extra respawns, with them also disabling near endgame. If you're interested on checking out the map codes for the two seasons I'll be going over are on screen now. If you'd like to check out the previous seasons, check the description down below. However, with that all set aside, let's head into Paradox Reimagined Season 4, Anarchy. Welcome to Paradox Reimagined Season 4, Anarchy. In this season, the results of the Gateway event set in, with the island being left in anarchy. With Relic back on the island, everything should have been doomed, but since he was last seen, he's changed, helping out the island and restoring order. With the lore stuff aside, you can see that quite a bit changed on Spawn Island. A small anarchy biome can now be found on the corner of the island. The class hangar also got a few changes, with it fitting in more with the season theme. However, that's pretty much it for Spawn Island, so let's head into our first location. Welcome to Anarchy Avenue, one out of 3 of the Anarchy biomes on the main island. Most of Fishy Town was affected by the missile, with some of the surviving areas taken over by Anarchy gangs. The location is now a lot more open, with less cover around. Each area in this location taken over by an Anarchy gang now has a launch pad, adding more mobility here. One of the Anarchy gang areas in this location is on the edge of the location, which can make it safer to drop to depending on your competition. That's pretty much it for this location though, so let's head over to the next one. Welcome to Kitty Holiday, your one-stop shop for everything in for this seasonal holiday. For this season, the Kitty Holiday store is Halloween themed because of Halloween happening during this season. Most of the decorations are now gone and packed up due to the version I'm playing on being released shortly after Halloween. However, you can see how the store takes inspiration from the holiday store near Holly Hedges during Chapter 2 Season 4 of Fortnite. Although being small, this location contains decent loot and an easy way to rotate to other locations. That's pretty much it for this small landmark though, so let's head over to the next location. Welcome to Salvaged Stronghold, the current base of operations of Relic and the few remains of Order X. This is the second location hit by one of the missiles, with this one having taken a bigger hit. This location is meant to serve as a survivor shelter and operation center for the island to help regroup. This location has more chests here than the location that used to be here before, with a mythic boss also being here. One thing you may have noticed is that all of the Anarchy biomes that were hit by a missile have green flying ash to make it look a little more radioactive. You can also see these biomes give everything a more rough, sketchy effect to make it look more stylized and destroyed. In this location you can also find Relic's current residence, where you can get yourself his mythic cloak gauntlets and a depleted Infinite. That's pretty much all for this location though, so let's head over to our next one. Welcome to Cubed Crater, one of the locations added during the Halloween event for this year. And as you can very much see, this spooky location is themed after the cube. Although having nothing to do with the story and only being here for the purpose of Halloween, I think this location is pretty clean looking. If you didn't notice already, you can also see that I took heavy inspiration from the cube runes all the way back from Chapter 1 Season 6 of Fortnite. In this location you can find the cube vents that launch you up pretty high, making great mobility, especially for being in the middle of the map. Even though Revision is no longer on the island and have fled to gather more resources, you can still find their old launchpad stations around for you to use. But with that, that's all for this location, so let's head over to our next location. Welcome to Atomic Acres, the third location hit with one of the missiles. And as you can see, it was the one hit the hardest, with most of Kitty City gone. The location is now in ruins, taken over by an Anarchy gang and turned into a residential area for them to use. With all of the bottom half of Kitty City gone, new buildings stand made out of scrap and metal. With the way this location is, there is now 2 halves of the location to choose to land at, with both of them containing a similar amount of loot. With this location transformed to be used for residence, there is now a new NOM store due to the old one nearby being destroyed. Next to this new NOM store is where the new gateway stands. Relic plans to use the portal to get materials to reconstruct and save the island from revision for when they return. Surely nothing can go wrong. Anyways, to power the gateway, Relic is planning to use the newly discovered Nitro hidden under Kitty City. With the gateway stuff aside, all of the top half buildings of Kitty City are in ruins. Most of the stuff in the buildings are still the same, with only rubble laying around or some props moved around from the Anarchy gang here. However, that's pretty much it for Atomic Acres, so let's head over to our final location. Welcome to Haunted Horrors. Just like all of the Season 1 locations of this map, this location is the reimagined counterpart of Frightful Forest from the first Halloween event. I went all out on this location, expanding further on the fall-like biome that Frightful Forest was. Just like Frightful Forest, this location has a haunted house looking spookier than it did before. The haunted house is a lot bigger now, containing more loot than before, including a mythic boss. The haunted house is also a lot more detailed now, with it having more props around. To top things off, the house now also has a basement-like floor with a secret entrance/exit to go in or out from. Taking things to the other side of the location, you can find the High Stakes Club's hideout. This was another thing not closely connected to the main story and mostly just here for Halloween and for the HORDERUSH game mode. However, this location has pretty good loot, making it a considerable location to land at. Not to mention the fact you could also get a mythic kinetic blade and cube scythe here. Another thing I forgot to mention is that during this year's Halloween event, I released a new Paradox game mode. It's practically just HORDERUSH, but with a few changes and a couple of new additions like mystery boxes and NPC shops. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. You can find the code on screen or in the description below. However, that's pretty much it for this location and this season. So with that, let's get festive over at FROSTBITE. Welcome to Paradox Season 5, FROSTBITE. In this season, the new gateway Relic was building is sabotaged and rifts in stuff from an unknown location. Strange freezing cubes were rifted in and have corruption-like powers similar to the cube from Fortnite, but instead slowly freezes everything it can get to. With this strange disaster, Relic helps lead Order X to investigate further on these cubes and how to stop them. With the lore stuff aside, you can see that Spawn Island got some noticeable changes, with part of it being covered in snow. A new addition this season is the Season Pass, a Paradox version of a Battle Pass. This Battle Pass mechanic has you level up to unlock the new season classes, with each level costing a little bit more in-game XP in order to level up. Also, don't worry, your progress saves and is only reset when playing new seasons. The feature is still new and really affects how the game as a whole works. Because of this, we are listening to your feedback and won't hesitate to change, fix, or even remove the feature. Make sure to tell us how you feel about this new mechanic. However, that is all for Spawn Island, so let's head into our first location of this season. Welcome to Frostbite Forest, the frostiest location on the island. This location has now been turned into the home of the Permafrost Cube. Entering the location and a couple other frostbitten locations will grant you a snow effect. This snow effect originally gave you some extra perks, but due to some issues with the way classes worked, it had to be removed. When landing here, you may notice that the Permafrost Cube's tower is similar to how the spire was in Fortnite, with it having zip lines to make it easier to get up to. In the back part of the location, you can find one of Order X's Arctic bases. These can be found all around the island and are where the Stormwing planes spawn. Back at the front of the location, the big ocean that used to be here has now been frozen over. With this, the terrain is really flat here and very chaotic to fight in. However, that's pretty much it for this location, so let's head into our next one. Welcome back to Blue Glow Bay, or now known as Blizzard Bay. The location has now been overrun by snow due to a frost cube being located here. In the most recent update, the destroyed Blue Glow factory building was replaced with Order X's new headquarters. The new building's layout is still similar to the one before, but with a few new rooms and floors. Back outside, the storage building at this location still remains unchanged. However, if you head over to where the revision launchpad station was here, you can see that it has been removed. In reality, the launchpad is now in a container. If you want to use it for mobility, you have to destroy the container it's in. That's pretty much it for this location though, so let's head over to our final location of this season. Welcome to Timber Towers, the newest city on the island. As you can see, this city takes a lot more inspiration from Tilted rather than being its own thing. The reason it was added this season was because I wanted it to give off a similar feel to how Tilted was when it came back in Chapter 3. I also wanted to try and see how I would do with a Tilted-styled city. Over at this massive new building is where a new fish stick restaurant stands. This building is heavily inspired by the building in the middle of Tilted with a restaurant at the bottom and a under construction top half. This building is an apartment building, being pretty short and having lots of rooms. Each of the rooms are unique, with most of them containing one chest. Over at this building is where you can find all your news at. This building is a different version of Kitty News, being a lot shorter than the previous Kitty News buildings. This version, however, is a lot easier to navigate and loot. This version also doesn't suffer from a horribly made camera, with it not even having one. Across the street is where you'll find the Timber Towers version of the basketball court from Tilted. You can also find the Frost Cube located here. Just like Tilted, the bottom part of the building consists of a restaurant, a cabbage restaurant. However, the top half of the building is a soccer field instead of a basketball court. Over here are where you can find some extra buildings. You can also find a destroyed restaurant here due to one of the frost spikes. Here you can find a small furniture store. Above the furniture store you can also find an apartment room with some extra loot. These extra buildings can be worth landing at if you don't want to compete at any of the major buildings. However, that does seem to be it for this location, which wraps up this season. Now, there was some extra spots and landmarks I would have gone over, but I don't want to make the video too long. So that'll be about it for this part of the I Made a Mini BR series. Reminder that if you're interested in checking out the map, the codes for each season will be down in the description below. Also, remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. We're really close to making it to 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit that goal, I'll be doing a contest where I will let you guys decide a whole season of Paradox, everything even down to most of the story. That does mean you'll have to join the Discord to partake in the contest. The invite link is in the description if you do want to join when it happens. But with that, that's pretty much all from me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.